Welcome trainers to the ultimate guide for Eldegoss in Pokemon Unite. We're going to go over this OG healer / support Pokemon. We're going to get into each and every move this Pokemon can do, as well as make a few recommendations on moveset and item build, and then we're going to follow it up with a few quick tips to get you dominating with Eldegoss in your next battle. Let's get to the video. Eldegoss's passive is Cotton Down. When receiving a certain amount of damage, recover HP, deal revenge damage, and decrease the enemy's movement speed for a short time. Eldegoss's basic attack becomes boosted with every third attack, attaching a bit of Cotton Fluff to the enemy. The user's basic attacks against an enemy with Cotton Fluff on it deal increased damage and decreases the enemy's movement speed for a short time. At level 1, you can choose between Leafage and Synthesis. Leafage has Eldegoss shoot a bundle of leaves that explode on the first enemy hit, damaging and slowing enemies in an area. Synthesis. Eldegoss uses sunlight to heal itself and nearby allies. At level 4, you will choose between Pollen Puff and Leaf Tornado. Let's start with Pollen Puff. Eldegoss throws a puff of pollen, which attaches to any Pokemon that touches it. After a delay, the puff will explode, damaging enemies and healing allies around it. At level 11, if attached to an enemy, the puff will deal damage over time. If attached to an ally, it will reduce the damage they receive by 20% for 2 seconds. Leaf Tornado. Eldegoss conjures a tornado full of leaves, which damages enemies and creates a gust of wind that increases the movement speed of allies that touch it. At level 11, enemies hit by the tornado will miss all of their basic attacks for a small amount of time. At level 6, you will choose between Cotton Guard or Cotton Spore. Let's start with Cotton Guard. Eldegoss creates barriers out of cotton, granting itself and all nearby allies a shield. When the shield expires, it restores HP equal to 30% of the remaining shield value. At level 13, this upgrades to also briefly increase Eldegoss's movement speed. Now Cotton Spore. Eldegoss channels gathering spores while increasing its movement speed. At the end of the channel, the spores are released, damaging and throwing nearby enemies into the air, then slowing them when they land. At level 13, this upgrades so that Eldegoss gains increased defense and special defense while channeling. And lastly, at level 9, Eldegoss gets its Unite move, Cotton Cloud Crash, which says, float into the air and become invincible. If used again, pound the ground, attacking and shoving enemies while restoring HP to allies in the radius. Now let's get on to the recommended build with this Pokemon. Eldegoss is an incredible healer that can also crank out a good amount of damage and is currently seeing ranked play at the highest levels and the lowest levels, meaning this has both a high skill cap as well as being useful even if you're not sure what you're doing. At level 1, be sure to pick up Leafage because it can help you clear. Level 3, Synthesis gives you just that extra little bit of heal. Now once you reach level 4 is when it starts to get interesting, and I actually think both of the level 4 moves are valuable, and so let's talk about the different scenarios for each one. Now if you're on a coordinated team, I think the slightly better move overall is Leaf Tornado, allowing your entire team to swoop in and deal extra damage, or not even deal extra damage, just swoop in with extra speed. A coordinated attack, Leaf Tornado can be absolutely incredible, and then it has the bonus of making some basic attacks miss late game, which can absolutely destroy some Pokemon like a Garchomp. Now I will say if you're in solo queue, it's a little harder to coordinate the Leaf Tornado, and I would say probably at that point pick up the Pollen Puff. Pollen Puff can be used offensively if you need to deal damage. If you can even coordinate on your own with your ally, you can get both healing and damage. And early game, once you hit level 4, Pollen Puff allows you such great sustain in lane that if you have a partner that has any kind of bulkiness at all, whether that be an all-arounder like Machamp or Lucario, or a tank like a Slowbro or Snorlax, then you can just absolutely stay in that lane all day. You can put your Pollen Puff on your allies so that they get healed, and then every time they go in and start dealing damage, well now all of a sudden you're healing them and dealing damage to the enemies. So my recommendation at level 4 would be if you have a coordinated team who knows what they're doing, Leaf Tornado is probably a little better. And if you're playing solo queue, you should pick up Pollen Puff. I do think these moves are very, very close and probably will be better or worse based on your playstyle and matchup dependent as well. So be sure to try out both of these moves. Now at level 6, I think at the moment, this is where it gets less interesting and there's a correct choice. Now I will say along with this, be sure to check the description because at the top I will post the current best build that I believe this Pokemon has. Pokemon Unite is a game that is constantly changing, being updated. There's buffs, there's nerfs, there's patches. So just do a quick check to the top of the description for me to see and make sure that this information is still accurate. But right now, Cotton Guard just statistically is the better move. It's going to grant you a shield. It's also going to heal you whenever it's gone, and it's also going to do this for all of your allies. And Cotton Guard is just simply the better move at the moment. Now, Cotton Spore has potential if they do ever buff it because it does give you that little stun by knocking enemies into the air, but right now there's just no reason not to pick Cotton Guard unless they make some changes and start to buff Cotton Spore or nerf Cotton Guard. And then now let's look at our last move, Cotton Cloud Crash. A very nice Unite move. The time to use this is think of yourself as a massive healer sustainer in a team fight, and let's transition straight into some tips and tricks with this Pokemon because we have the first one starting right here with Cotton Cloud Crash. Now here's the thing to note is there is a little delay from the time that you activate this move first to the time that your healing actually happens. You have to Unite move once to put yourself into the air, and then again immediately after, if you need a quick heal, you need to activate it again to come back to the ground to actually get that healing move. So be looking in team fights to pop this off probably a second before you want the actual heal to happen. Now this takes a little bit of practice because it's easy to forget that you have it. You have to be really aware of when you have this ability up, and you need to be really diligent about both keeping yourself alive and making sure you're popping this off at a right time to heal your allies to keep your whole team in the fight. And Cotton Cloud Crash is one that just is absolutely stunning and amazing whenever you're in game and can help you absolutely dominate the enemy.